how complicated has it been just to juggle all the personnel? Obviously, you know, a guy like Owens is one of your core guys, and now he's starting, and obviously there's other examples of that.
I don't think it's complicated, really. That's maybe not the right word. Just problematic is better. Again, we prepare for those things going into a game. If a guy goes down, who comes in next, those sort of things. So I'm confident in the guys that have gotten the reps. They'll know what to do, and they'll be expected to play well.
Rich, maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like after one of those kickoffs that sailed over Keyshawn's head, he was pretty frustrated. Have you had to preach patience with him just waiting for, I guess, the cold weather to get some opportunities after what he did last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously we knew going into the season that it was going to be difficult to get some clean looks as we got last year. As you can tell, earlier in the year, we made some decisions to take it out from probably too deep to some degree. It makes it problematic for those guys to hold the blocks that long and some of those things. But that was a situation we thought it was right before the end of the half, if I'm not mistaken, and we were gonna take it out and try to make a play. And he kind of got his foot on the white, and I think he was mad about it, for himself that he was that far back or the ball was that far back. But yeah, I think teaching patience to a guy like that feels like he can make a play and help the team, put us in better field position. Is something he's just gotten a little bit better at as the season's gone on.
To Matt's point about the weather, it's supposed to be 41 on Sunday. Is that enough of an impact for the ball to travel less far to give him some opportunities?
It could, but I've learned in Green Bay that if you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes and it'll change. So today it obviously changed on us in the middle of practice, and we'll see what it brings. But traditionally, as the weather gets a little colder, regardless of where you are, the ball doesn't seem to travel as far. Although, if I remember correctly, I think we hit a 56-yarder, here last year in Lambeau. So we'll see what the game brings. But the thing about game day, whether it's here or anywhere else, it's really the same for both teams. So we'll both have to adjust and adapt and hopefully put ourselves in, good position to make some plays.
Speaking of kicking long-distance field goals, what would Anders' range have been at the end of the game with that outlet?
Well, yeah, he made a 65 with snap, holding, kick, and then we missed the shorter one. So I think his range realistic in Denver was 58, was a realistic range for him. Hitting the big one in pregame, I think, gives him a little bit of confidence. Every kicker I've been around that goes up there in Denver wants to hit big kicks in pregame, but really the trick to those big kicks is to try not to over kick it. Try to stay within your rhythm and stay within your groove, and hopefully you have good contact point. But I think his range was, I think his range has been right around 56 to 58 as the year's gone on. Wish we would have made that one. It would have been big for us at the end.
Obviously, he was going to miss one at some point, right? I mean, just kind of how it goes. How is he handled?
Yeah, again, he came back and made one, right? Whether it was close or far, and so I think, again, his mental makeup is one of the things that we liked about him the most, and I don't think that's wavered in any way. And it's funny because I saw his dad after the game. His dad said, "Well, Daniel missed one also." So I mean, it was kind of I didn't obviously know that Daniel had missed one, but it didn't make me feel any better that Honors missed one in our game. But yeah, to your point, they're going to miss. It's part of it. I thought he came back from it well. I thought he kicked off well in the game, and we'll see what this week brings.
Was there anything to correct on that miss, or is it just you can't make them all?
Yeah, I thought he hit the ball really well, actually. He just kind of cupped it a little bit and brought it back over to the left. So, but big thing after one of those hits is to not come back and try to guide the ball, come back and hit it, and I thought he did that.
After our conversation in the locker room last week, I wanted to ask you who your Butch Lee was and who your Bo Ellis was.
Say it again.
After our conversation in the locker room last week, I was going to ask you who your Butch Lee is and who your Bo Ellis is after our Marquette discussion.
It wasn't Bo Ellis, but it was Butch Lee was the point guard, and he's from New York, and he actually played for the Puerto Rican national team in the Olympics and almost beat the USA single-handedly. But it was Bernard Toon. Bernard Toon was the power forward. And Bernard's from Yonkers, New York, and Bernard's dad grew up with my dad. And that's kind of why I followed Marquette back then when they won it. And Al McGuire was, from New York. He was the coach, and he was very, at that time, I would say, flamboyant or excited or, kind of a loud guy, had a New York personality. So, but I had a chance to meet, obviously, the basketball coach was here at practice with the team, and that's why the Marquette thing kind of came up. I was being a little bit of a wise ass with you guys in the locker room. Can't help it. It's part of my personality.
What I did really want to ask, though, is when you look at what your units have done, there was a time around here where it was just don't screw it up on special teams. The standard is much higher for you, obviously. Do you feel like your guys have been doing enough to benefit the team, or are you challenging your guys to do more?
Yeah, I think we have to constantly challenge each other, to do better. They have to challenge us as coaches to put them in the right position, and we have to challenge them to keep performing at a high level. It was uncharacteristic a little bit to have 10 penalties in the first 3 games. I think we've corrected that to some degree, but although when you're playing aggressive and when you're trying to, put yourself in position to make plays, those things are going to happen. And I don't know if we've had the same full punt team from end to end, from flyer to flyer yet, and we won't again this week. There's going to be changes again. So, I think the word you use about challenge is we're always challenging them to perform at a higher level, and I'd like to think they're challenging us to make sure we're putting them in the right position. We've played guys in some different spots, and whether it's on punt or kickoff or whatever, and there really hasn't been a lot of opportunities lately. We haven't had a lot of return opportunities, and Honor's kind of gotten a hold of the ball a little bit, and we haven't given up any kickoff opportunities lately as well. So to the question earlier about the weather and will that change the kickoff return deal that's going on really throughout the league for the most part, we'll see. We'd like to think so from one end. We can get some opportunities for Keyshawn to hopefully put us in good position, but the block's got to be there with no holds and those sort of things, and there's new guys on that as well. So I don't know, again, if as a special teams coach, if you ever actually come out of a game and go like, wow, did we play a great game? There always seems to be something that goes on in the game that's a little bit counterproductive to you really playing well throughout the entire game. So I think we're always challenging each other to do better.
When you had guys like Rochelle and you got Anderson back this week, do you get a little more competition and
I think so. Rochelle, we played against him last year. He played for the Rams, and actually, we're getting ready to play Powell. He's the return guy now from Minnesota. He was with the Rams last year, and Minnesota's gotten a return back in 26. He's back, returning kicks. He's a really good player. He's got some, touchdown returns in his background. So it'll be a challenge for us with them. But, Rochelle, I thought, did a good job, coming in and practicing the last 2 days. He was competitive yesterday. We were in pads today. He was competitive again today. So we'll see what the future brings. And we're hoping Zane can stay healthy enough to have a chance to compete and perform for us on Sundays. But we'll see what the roster looks like come Sunday morning.
is Valentine a factor too? I mean, is he a guy who can?
Yeah, Valentine's, he's been up and down for us, on the team. But when he plays, he's been productive for us as a player. He was productive for us last year. So hopefully we'll see again what Sunday morning looks like and what the 48 looks like on game day. But if he's up, he'll be expected to play. And again, all those guys that once they come up, they'll be expected to play well because we believe they know what to do. If you know what to do, you ought to be able to play fast. If you play fast, you ought to be expected to play well.